Well, hello there. Happy Tuesday, May 12th. It is May 12th. Yes. Happy Tuesday, May 12th. Middle of May already and barreling towards Memorial Day in just 2 weeks. Glad you're here. I think you're here. I hope you're here. I'm happy to be here with you. And if you have any questions, please ask away because I'd much rather answer your questions than just randomly talk, at will, because, I might say something crazy. So, hi, Megan. Hi, Sam. Good to see you. Hi, Adam. Good to see you. I'm doing good. Been good couple of days, beginning of the week, busy, but good. Hey, Allie and Carrie. So glad you're here. Good to see you guys. So, like I said, if you have any questions that you want to ask that have been just rolling around in your brain, please ask away. Hi, Valerie. Good to see you. Congrats on Evelyn's win at ICFF. Hi, Casey. Great to see you as well. Glad you guys are here. So, I have been, you guys know that, hi, Madison and Eric from Michigan. I love it. So as you guys know, I'm venturing into a project that I've had off and on for 10 years and am going to venture into a little bit of new territory for me. So it's interesting to say that after 30 plus years in the business, I've certainly worked with so many great producers and been in the process and even been a part of a team, a producing team on some other projects. But this one's a little different because it's been my baby for 10 years. And I'm very excited about some great people that are right now, looks like they're going to be coming alongside of me. But the one piece of this that I've never really gotten involved in is the fundraising side or I've done pitch packets before, but doing those investor meetings and things. For those of you who have raised money, even if it's for like one of your short films or any kind of project you've done before, if you have any keys or any good little tidbits to give me, I'd love for you to put them in the comments because I just appreciate the experiences that you guys have had and really just kind of what worked for you and what you thought was helpful for you. And so, yeah, as we're going along, if you have any comments on that or thoughts about that part of the process, please share them. I would be happy to see what you said. Let's see, Emily. Yeah, you've funded quite a bit. You crowdfunded for the WW. Sounds like WWE for the World War II movie. Quite harrowing experience. I think that's part of what what's happening for me is that sense of kind of dread a little bit, which I shouldn't be looking at it like that because, gosh, I've in 31 years, I've had the pleasure of working with so many great people in the business, and many of whom have said, hey, if you ever need help or give me a call or, just, and I have to say, I'm one of those people, and I don't know if you struggle with this too, but I struggle to ask for help. I kind of feel like, oh, I don't want to bother them, or, I don't want to take their time, which is really not a great way to be. Because I know that when I say to someone, hey, if I can ever be helpful to you, or if you need to give me a call on something, please feel free. I mean it. I honestly and sincerely mean it when I say that to someone. So the thought of them thinking, oh, I don't want to bother Bev. I know she said I could call her, but I don't want to bother her. And maybe she didn't really mean it. That would make me sad, because I absolutely have meant it when I've said that to other people. So now I need to kind of reverse that thinking and realize that generally there's a lot of wonderful people who do want to help or share their expertise or their experiences. I just have to be willing to humbly ask for that help and that insight. So that's a little bit of an area that I'm learning and growing with, because you work long and hard to get really good at what you do. At least that's the hope. You want to get really good and proficient at what you do. And so you get this sense of, I got to take care of business and I got to get the job done. And I'm definitely in a position on this project that I need to ask for others' wisdom and expertise and guidance. So, yeah, I'm happy to have you share any insights you have. And as I go through the process, I plan to share what I'm learning as I go along and pass that on to you guys as well. So just know that I may start a separate little group as I journey in the producing side of this specific project, because I know that I'm going to learn a ton and realize that this is what I'm hoping, that I'll realize that I'm actually more capable than I'm giving myself credit for. And that's what I would say to most anyone who might ask me. I'd tell them, you've got what you need. You're capable. You can do this. So it's a matter of just speaking that to ourselves, I guess. Okay, let's see. There are some questions. So, Carolyn. Oh, okay. You have a question, Carolyn Wong. You have a question about a callback tomorrow. They're going to give us the sides at the virtual callback. The sides used in audition were not from the script. Other than trying to research work of creative, any tips for preparation? The only thing I would say to you is, yeah, take the time to research and know whatever it is you can know about the filmmakers and the project, understanding the tone of the project, the tempo, what kind of work have they done before, just trying to have a context for the type of scene or the type of material that you might be given. But the other thing I would say is you just have to be confident. You have to go into that kind of a setting believing that you're capable. Isn't it ironic that I'm giving you this exact advice that I was just saying I need to say to myself? But going in kind of blind like that is similar to doing improv, in that you can't pre-plan everything. You can't go in having all of the questions figured out. You have to be comfortable with going in with some question marks and going in with a explore it as it comes kind of mindset. Listening will need to really, really be important to you. Listening not only to whatever it is that they tell you about the scene, but listening to whoever the reader is or a scene partner, however that goes, just so that you're responding appropriately. That's the same for any audition, for any scene, but especially when it's not one that you've had in advance. Just really do your best to be present, to remind yourself that you have trained for this, remind yourself that you have done the work, that you know what you're doing, and try your best to find a place where you can be relaxed and comfortable with the unknown. And for that to be okay. And maybe view it as an adventure and view it as an exploration as opposed to like a scary or hesitant thing. Again, there are certain, when you get material, there are certain questions and things you want to ask and go through as you are looking at a scene to try to figure out what the purpose is and what the key elements of that scene are. So that's another thing you can do tonight, is just to remind yourself what those key questions are, so that when you get the material, you can kind of run down those questions and answer them quickly for yourself. You don't have to stop and try to say, okay, what do I need to figure out here? What are the questions I need to ask? You just know. It's like, okay, I need to know this, which it's just super interesting, because I had pulled out Larry Moss's Intent to Live book, and I literally have it open to a page that talks about, can you guys see that? Talks about the questions that you ask yourself. So where does the scene take place? Who is in the scene? What do I, as a character, know about the other characters in the scene? What are my relationships with them emotionally? What do other characters say about me? Given what the script tells me, is it true? What do I, as a character, know about myself that is relevant to the scene? What does my character literally do during the scene? And what do other characters do to me? How do they treat me? So it's interesting. I just literally have this sitting here because I was thumbing through the book and I was on that page. So you can prepare by knowing quickly which questions you want to ask once you get the material, and then being able to ask those questions quickly and efficiently to arrive at the answers that will help guide how you approach the scene and how you kind of find your way into the character and the scene specifically. So that's what I would say. Shane, crowdfunding or private equity investors? This project will be private equity investors. That's the route we're planning to go, as opposed to crowdfunding. Let's see. Sam, so you get it, asking for help. Valerie, I can't ask for help. I will help others, but have a hard time letting anyone help me. And why do we do that? It's because I honestly am blessed when I'm able to help someone. I'm blessed by seeing it either relieve some stress or give them an aha moment or just help them take a load off a little bit. That ends up blessing me. And when we don't allow others to help us, yeah, it's hard to even say it, that we rob them from the opportunity to help us when we need it. But there's just that strong kind of playlist in our head of, you got to take care of it. Don't be a burden. You don't want to trouble people or interrupt them, or they didn't really mean it. All these things that we fill our heads with, which quite honestly are just not true. Because like I said, when I offer to help someone, I mean it. So why would I doubt that they mean it when they tell me the same? So all of us who struggle to allow people to help us or ask for help, we collectively, we just need to be willing to ask for help, to let people help us, to know that that's a part of God's design in community. He designed us to function as a community so that together we're stronger, more effective, more, I think we're just a brighter light together than we can be individually, and what we can accomplish can be more collectively than if we're all trying to struggle to figure out everything on our own. And that's God's design. So I'm saying this to you, but I'm absolutely telling this to myself, and just kind of sharing a little bit of the process that I'm going through, shifting gears into an area that, I mean, honestly, I've been casting so long that, I mean, every project is different. So no two projects are exactly the same, but the general process and the expectation and the time, I can predict those things, and I know even how to handle unexpected issues or problems or challenges. And I feel very, very confident in the world that I've been, building and working in for 31 years. So to venture into something that I don't have that same level of expertise and confidence and answers to the questions is new territory. So, but I honestly also believe that God's opening these doors. God is leading me in this direction, and God is pushing me to be a little less sure of myself, because I have to rely on him a whole lot more, and recognize what he's put in the path, the provision that he has for me, and the people that he's put in my path as a part of that provision. So, okay, let's see. I don't want to get too behind on comments. So, Emily so struggled to ask for help, but so many people wanted to help. Filmmaking requires so much personal growth. It does. And honestly, it's part of what really excites me about this challenge is I want to push and grow and do new things, and to face the challenges and to learn through them and learn from others and partner with others. I'm super, super excited to do that. So, on one side, it's a little intimidating, but on the other end, it's so invigorating and exciting. Marianne, trust that those who have told you they'll help actually want to help. Fundraising is so hard. Prayer. Honestly, you're right. Absolutely. If it's going to be a project that's going to get made, it's going to get made because God's going to open those doors and provide a pathway forward. And because it's too hard to try to just force it into existence, it's got to be something that God's making a path for. And so I'm trying to just be obedient to listen and to understand that guidance, and again, find great people to partner with. And so far, I really do feel like there's a great core team to move forward with. So there's so many positives, and just at the same time, some things I've got to adjust to and get comfortable with not knowing. And but Marianne, I want to say congratulations on your win for your film at ICFF. And I've been thinking a lot about you, Marianne. You inspire me as I'm venturing into this process. Seeing you at ICFF and talking a bit and seeing the celebration of that path you took, and just stepping out and just doing it and figuring it out as you went, has actually been very inspirational to me. And so thank you for that. And just wanted you to know that I'm super proud of you. And yeah, you inspire me. So, and Emily, you're the same way. I know that you're making your own stuff and making it happen and writing it. So all of you guys who are doing that are really an encouragement and an inspiration to me. So thank you for all of that. Let's see, Shane, people want to help, and sometimes it's God giving those connections. You're right. And isn't it interesting that we do have to ask, though? And I think that's part of what, I'll just speak for myself. I think that's part of what God wants from me. God wants me to be in a place where first I recognize that I need the help and that I'm okay being vulnerable enough and humble enough to say, hey, you know better than I do in this area. Can I, can I, you know, kind of chat a bit or glean from your experience? Or, could I get your help on something? And but it is a part of the process of asking and being in that position to be willing and able to ask. And I think that's what a part of what God's doing in this, at least in my journey. Casey, I'm exactly the same. Do not like asking for help, but 1,000 mean it. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Adam, not quite funding, but I was wondering, is the Hard Faith Festival a good festival to attend? Yes, it is coming up. I'm gonna look for the dates because I don't remember. So it is coming up June 25th through 28th in LA, and then there's a New York one in December. But the 4-day event in LA is coming up June 25th through 28th. You can find out more at hardfaith.org. As far as like, is it a good festival to go to? I only have been to the in-person part of it once, I believe. But I love Spencer, and now Spencer and his wife. I love what they're doing. I love the idea of this slightly edgier version of storytelling. I found last year it to be very collaborative and a lot of great conversations and some great panels and professionals who are working professionals in the fields, various different fields, very highly respected, were there to offer insight. They did a pitch panel and honestly gave very practical and very honest feedback on projects that people had pending and that were trying to get, projects they're trying to get made or find a path through funding. But I thought the quality of the people who were doing workshops or who were teaching or who were on panels was very strong. And Spencer Fulmer is a filmmaker himself, so he's coming definitely from a filmmaker's mindset. And so I think there's a lot to be said for that. So it's not the largest film festival, but even that's kind of nice because you are able to have, I think, some maybe more connected conversations. It's not overly programmed to where there's multiple things on top of each other and you're having to decide, like, well, if I go to this, then I miss this, and some of those challenges that some other festivals have. So this one has a nice kind of flow to it. So I would tell you to check it out and to go to their website, hardfaith.org, and just look at feedback. And I don't know if they have a video about last year's, but it's definitely worth you taking a look at for sure and considering it. And I do think you would enjoy it and benefit, especially because you, Adam, you're in California. So your Northern California means driving down. Most of the time you're having to fly across the country to get to some of these festivals. So to be able to just drive down might be quite nice for you. So let's see. Valerie, we've had that happen to us. Luckily, they gave our kiddo 3 minutes to learn the nude sides, and she did. We were ready to use cold reading skills. I'd be happy to elaborate more if you message or read, probably DM me privately. So going back to Carolyn, who was asking that if you want to communicate privately with Valerie, she can share with you maybe some insights as to how that's worked for her kids. So Twin Bolt. Hi, you guys. It's a Southern heritage thing, depending on where you grew up. I know for us, we were taught never to be a burden or to ask for help. It is culturally, isn't it? It's just so not, it's so not the way God designed the body of Christ and designed family and community. So it's just interesting that we all kind of got those same messages. We were taught to always give and never ask, which is not how the industry works. No, it isn't. Yeah, the industry is such that you can give and give and give and give until you've given everything you have, and not always get the same in return. Let's see. There are many people that are not qualified that have no issue asking for any help. Yes, that is true. You're absolutely right. There are people who are not shy at all and who will ask. And in many ways, I admire that. I admire that confidence. I admire that kind of precise and focused effort. And I admire the drive that it takes to say, I need to accomplish this. And in order to do that, I need to do this. And they do it. So yeah, I think we've all known some people, though, who take advantage of that a little bit. And I'm so paranoid that I don't want to be one of those people that I just hesitate to ask, because I don't. This industry uses people so much. And thankfully, and hopefully within kind of our community, it isn't quite. I mean, I would hope we have greater hearts focused on service, or at least helping, assisting, coming alongside our, brothers and sisters and families and neighbors. But in general, the entertainment industry is get what you need, do whatever it takes, crawl over the other person if that's what it takes to get what you need for your goals. And people can just get used and used and used. And then when it comes time to kind of return that, they're nowhere to be found, or they don't have time, or they disappear. And that's just sad. So yeah, I never want to be that person. So it does make me hesitant for sure. Casey. So Casey attended Hard Faith the last 2 years and enjoyed it. That's great, Casey. I'm glad that you chimed in there. Hi, Charles. Eric, I learned about ICVM at Christian Worldview in Georgia last March. I'm excited to go and be in the monologue. Awesome. Would a Shakespeare monologue be appropriate? I have a really nice one, but understand if that's not the place for the bard. So here's the deal. At ICVM, the monologue challenge, we really focus it more on a TV film setting. And I really encourage people not to do monologues that are overly stagey and overly theater performance oriented. So it's not that Shakespeare would be bad. The challenge would be to deliver the material in a way that feels intimate and conversational, as if a camera were right in front of you, and that it was a very low-key, intimate conversation, camera close, that kind of thing, as opposed to a much broader stage presentation where you're projecting and you're enunciating every word, and it's quite dramatic. If you can find a way through the Shakespeare piece and create an intimate, more camera version of it, it could be very interesting. But this monologue challenge is specifically an emphasis on a TV film application, not a stage application. So if that helps you at all. Hi, DeAndre. DeAndre, you're getting ready to shoot something, aren't you? I thought I saw a post on social media, like you were looking for somebody. I could be totally wrong, but I thought I saw that. So you can tell me if I'm completely wrong. Hey, that's one of my best friends. Okay. He just finished the off-Broadway tour of What's Love Got to Do with It. I don't know who you're talking about, but they're probably amazing. Carrie, I have an audition I have to do, and the second scene is much stronger than the first in all ways. In the character, the relationship you're seeing on screen, etc. In your opinion, is it okay to tape that one first and send them out of script order so they see the stronger scene that I feel more confident about first, or is that super annoying? I would not send them out of script order. Our expectation when we send them is that we will watch them in script order. So we know when we've sent out 2 scenes or 3 scenes, we know which scenes are either more challenging or which scenes typically maybe show off more of the actor's levels or skills or dynamics. We know that. And so if we want to cut to the chase and go to scene 2 because we know that's where we're going to kind of see the meat of it, then we will do that. But you don't want to try to manipulate that to happen. We will do that on our own. If we want to go to what we perceive as the stronger material, we'll do that on our own. But you should, I don't, honestly, I don't care how you tape them. That doesn't matter to me. But when you send them in, I wouldn't try to make it so that the second scene is what they see first. Just send them in the order. We view what we know we want to see first. Sometimes it's the first scene. Sometimes we skip to the third scene. It just depends on what we're doing and what we're looking for and how the scenes are playing out. And, you know, we'll send out sides in the beginning of a process and really not even know when we send them out what a difference in dynamic there really will be once we're seeing the scenes read over and over and over. And so certain lines, certain parts of a scene or certain scenes will begin to stand out as basically the measure, the bar, and sort of the place in which you see the cream of the crop. And you start to see maybe the first scene, there's a lot more people. You think, oh, that's pretty good. And then you get to the second scene and you start to see the separation between those who are really good and really have a nice connection and those that maybe aren't as strong. But you don't need to worry about that. We will do that in our process. So I would tell you, send them in the order. How you tape them is up to you. We won't ever know that. But how you label them and how you send them, I would put them in script order. That's my 2 cents. Hi, Ellie Mae. I'm glad you can join. ICFF was good. There was some really great stuff. Absolutely. Hi, Don. Let's see. Yeah, good, Carolyn. Just write them out because then tomorrow when you get the side, you can automatically quickly go through the process of establishing those key elements and key kind of action points and touch points so that you can get into the scene and get to the crux of it, the meat of it more quickly. Hi, Ben. How are you? Ben is a fellow Anthem Collective, Anthem Creative Agency member now. So Diego has taken him on as a part of his first slew of talent for the agency, Anthem Agency. So great to see you, Ben. His social media, if you guys want to check out, there's a lot of really interesting stuff you're doing, Ben. And yeah, I like what you're doing and sort of the thought challenges and the way you're doing it. Interesting way to also get to explore different sides of a conversation. So Ben's doing least what I've seen, and Ben, you can correct me, but Ben is having conversations, but he's playing both characters, both sides of the conversation. And so I think that's a really interesting way as an actor to explore both sides, because you're playing the hero and the villain. You're playing the advocate and the naysayer in a conversation or regarding an issue. And so I think it's just interesting. And I like what I'm seeing, and I like what you're doing. So if you guys have any interest in checking that out, you might also enjoy and be interested by the stuff that Ben is creating. And visually, it looks really good. Let's see. Judy, I've recently had some really great opportunities to do crew jobs on some indie projects. How did you begin in casting, and how would a person beside indie opportunities become an assistant casting director? That's exactly how I started, Judy. Was I just went to a filmmaker friend of mine and said, I want to learn the business. I think it's something I could be good at, and I don't exactly know where I would fit, but I just want to learn it. So I went in with the mindset of learning it all. It's many of the things that were potentially a fit for my skill set, which tended to be like production coordinating, the producer side of things, production office side of things. And then I had an acting background and had done some directing and producing in theater. And so he's the one, that filmmaker friend is the one who put me in casting on that first project we did together, because he saw those elements of my skill set that he thought could be good. So really, I have him to thank for putting me in that direction. And for a number of years, I did casting plus I was a first AD or a second AD or production coordinator. Did various things on production, still wanting to sort of lock in exactly where I was best fit and also enjoyed the most. And casting was that thing that was the constant. So one by one, other things fell to the wayside, but casting was the thing I just loved, kept doing, kept getting better at, kept learning. I was hungry to learn. So that's what I did. So I think if you have some fellow filmmakers and young filmmakers, student filmmakers, people who are going to try to start to do their first piece, getting in there and just saying, hey, I'll help you with the casting side. I didn't learn with anyone. I figured everything out. I just learned by doing it. And then you learn more and more, you Google, you research, you take advantage of whatever resources you have in front of you, which is exactly what I did. Okay, correction. To say I didn't learn from anyone, I ended up on a couple of films working alongside of other casting directors. There were a couple of films that I did casting alongside of a co-casting director who had been in the business for a long time. And I learned volumes from that experience, that a lot of things, formats, things I use to this day, 30 years later. And so, but I didn't study under someone or work for multiple years under like a mentor and then kind of grow through it. I kind of jumped in, and as his film work expanded, so did mine. So he started out doing shorter films, shorter format, non-union, and then went a little bit bigger and then started working union, which meant I had to learn SAG rules and the union rules and how to deal with agents and how to deal with name actors and, you know, star names and recognizable names and doing more complicated deals. You just figured it out as you did it. I mean, that's what I did. I remember I was talking to the agent for the first SAG film I did, and we were casting a woman who at that time had worked a ton. She was a very recognizable face, a little bit older. She was in her 50s at the time, maybe late 50s, early 60s. She's since passed, but I am calling the agent and we're going. So she read it, she liked it. Now we're trying to make a deal. And I knew a lot of the basic deal points, but I remember. So I'm taking notes and the agent says, "So is that going to be MFN?" And I'm thinking to myself, MFN. I have no idea what MFN means. None. And of course, she was saying it, the agent was saying it like it was just a known term. It's something I should know and just a part of a normal deal. But I literally had no idea what she was talking about. So this is those moments that you sort of act as if, right? You act as if you know what you're talking about, and then you hang up the phone and you Google it and you figure out what the heck are they talking about? So that's exactly what I did. I think my response was something like, you know what, I'll confirm that for you, but I'll make sure to get that answer on the MFN issue there. So just give me a beat to confirm it with producers and I'll get back to you. Didn't know what I was confirming. So then I wrote my other notes, any other questions that I had about terminology and things. And I was just Googling. I Googled everything. MFN, as I came to know, and many of you probably know, means most favored nations, which means basically if one's getting it, they're all getting it. They're all the same. So MFN, like an MFN trailer, means you're all in the same kind of dressing room. You're most favored nations across this certain group of people. MFN could be money. MFN could be travel conditions. It could be anything. It's anything in which you have multiple actors. In my case, I'm talking about the actor world, but multiple actors who are receiving the same terms of the same treatment as another actor or another group of actors. Or they'll say they want to be tied to a person, which means basically they want to know that they're getting the same terms as somebody else. So anyway, I learned what MFN meant. Now you all know what MFN means, just in case you didn't already. And I just Googled everything. So to go back and actually answer the question, Judy, it could be like what I did, which is you just get in, start working with someone and just do it, figure it out, where you have resources and can ask people and ask for help and learn and, study, research. The web is an incredible tool that, of course, 30 years ago existed, but is nothing like it is now. So it could either be that way, or you could specifically try to connect with an existing casting director who needs an assistant, and try to fill that space. Because you're starting out, it would probably take something where you're more of an intern to someone, where the benefit is that you're learning, but it's not necessarily a paid position. But it's a mutual benefit in that, if the casting director needs some help, then oftentimes we'll bring in interns to help with that, with the idea that we are benefiting them by teaching them, what we know, helping them be exposed to the process and understand a little bit more about the business. So it ends up being a win-win. So you could potentially approach someone like that, who may need help on something, but it's really by doing it. There's not a degree, there's not a set way to accomplish that. CSA, Casting Society of America, does have an educational component to where I don't know how often, it may just be once a year, but they do basically a track of, it's almost like it would be a certificate program of how to be a casting director, and they go through everything. But it's usually a very small group that they have. So I don't know how often it's done or what the qualifying process is for that. But you could look that up too. That's through Casting Society of America. So that's another way, maybe, if you were able to do a program like that. I've talked and thought about doing a track specifically on, like, doing maybe a subscriber group or some smaller subgroup where I teach how to be a casting director and what it takes and what it looks like, and just go through that process, because I really do want to see more casting directors come up through, especially in the world of faith-based faith and family storytelling. I'd love to see more people stepping into that on the actor talent side, and I think there's a need for it. So I have thought about doing that, but I've just not yet made that a priority. But if I do, I will let you know, and maybe that's something that would be of interest to you. Let's see. Michael Dean, I like the question. They usually boil it down to what has happened previously in my relationship to others in the scene, knowing my character. Yeah, whatever works for you. There's a lot of different, I know there's different sets of questions that people use and different quote unquote methods that people use, but you just need to know ahead of time in this setting, where you're going to get sides and you're not going to have much time to learn them and figure it out. You just want to know ahead of time, what are those key things that you need to get in and ask and connect with. Let's see, Jenna, are musical theater performances okay to include in demo reels on your Actors Access? So musical theater usually means that it's a stage piece that someone has filmed from the audience, I would guess. And typically that is not something you want to include on your film TV reel. I would create its own reel or make it its own clips and label it as such. Label it as, a stage performance of Annie Get Your Gun, or stage performance of Hairspray, whatever, it is, and the role, and then maybe pull those clips together, but make it clear that it's a musical theater performance rather than putting it in a reel. It should be separate. And if you have enough of it, then make it its own reel. If not, just make it its own separate clips. Let's see. Shane, you'd be happy to answer any producing questions. There you go. Thanks, Shane. And I know you mean it. Hi, Brooklyn. Let's see. Michael, thank you for that. I hear that. God is opening the doors, embrace the challenge. Yeah, I hear you, and I agree with you. And change is God's medium for improvement. I absolutely believe this, because I'm craving the challenge. I'm craving the expansion. I'm craving the pushing myself to know what I know in my heart of hearts, which is that I can do this. And I have what it takes, only because I think through all these years, God has equipped me this way. And so I just find myself really longing to see this happen. And like I said, 10 years, I haven't been able to let it go and drop it. And so, yeah. So thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. I love and support my ICFF family. Had to miss this year filming. I often wish to collaborate more. Yeah. And there's a lot of opportunity for that, I think. Let's see. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Okay, Eric. I had the chance to meet Michael Lyons at Content Media in Texas last September. He has about 10 years of experience. Yep. He's done quite a bit. He's also got about 19 films he's produced. Happy to email him to see if he'd be willing. Oh, Eric, that's really nice. Okay, I can reach out to you if it seems like that's going to be a good direction. That's a great person I hadn't thought of yet. So thank you very much. Let's see. Tony Palo. My question is, where can I find a Christian agent? And I mean a real Christian, not someone that just believes but doesn't put him first. Do they have them out there? Someone who really care about you and not about all the money they can make. We have lots of agents here in New Orleans, but I wouldn't call them real Christians. So Tony, what you're asking for is a challenge because, first of all, it's a business. The entertainment business is a business. So the agents have to make money. They have to. And that's a part of God's provision for our lives is opening up pathways for us to financially make what we need to in order to, live our lives and hopefully live a life of service to others and make the world a better place. But it is a business, and therefore you have to some extent, have a mindset of financials. And so I don't find being financially minded at odds with also being a Christian in the industry. I think the two have to coexist to be able to keep your business afloat and keep yourself in a place where you can keep doing the work, right? And we want for an agent to be able to take on more clients and able to take on more actors who maybe have a heart for Christ and who have a heart for that kind of storytelling. Bottom line is they have to have a successful agency, or else they just flat out can't afford to take on new actors. And so I just want to say, you have to care about the money to some extent, just because that is a piece of being able to keep being a part of the storytelling that ultimately impacts culture. So to keep doing what we all want to do and to tell the stories that we want to tell, we have to figure out how to do it successfully, so that we can keep doing it. And so I'm sure there are a lot of Christians who happen to be agents. There's, there's no list, there's no place where you just automatically check to find an agent who's a Christian. I think some of it is through word of mouth, people that actors have worked with, and people who, through their experience of working with them, have come to know that they are people of faith and kind of where their values are. So, and I hear you, Tony. You don't want someone so skewed on the money side that affects how they work or how they treat you as a client, or causes them in any way to compromise on certain values. But your agent being a Christian, in my opinion, isn't necessarily as important as them valuing and honoring your faith and your choices and respecting you in your faith, excuse me, and supporting you in the kinds of projects that you want to do and the stories you want to tell. Because ultimately, that's what you need. You need someone who is going to champion you and who is going to celebrate and join you in looking for opportunities to do the kind of work you want to do and tell the kind of stories you want to tell, and who respects that material, who embraces it. And so yeah, there is no specific way I can tell you to find a Christian agent, other than speaking to other actors who have agents that they know happen to be people of faith. And there are a few that, I know happen to be people of faith, but there isn't one place I could send you to tell you that. I think a lot of that would be who you talk with and what they might be able to share with you about the people they've worked with. So, hi, Cheryl. let's see. Eric, subdued Shakespeare for the small. Yeah, sounds challenging, and you love a challenge. Good. Well, that would be great. Let's see. Hi, Christopher. Let's see. Ben says, I do a lot of perspective 1-minute mini shorts where I portray all the characters on screen. Yeah, it's super interesting. You guys check them out. Let's see. You're welcome, Courtney. Peggy says, I recently worked with Spencer Fulmer of Hard Faith Film Festival. It was a great experience. Yeah, he's a very good guy and very honest and sincere in the work he wants to do, and also the level at which he wants to do it. So Peggy's recommending the Hard Faith Film Festival as well. Let's see. Shemaya, how was my experience working with the Week Away series? It was great. It was wonderful. I did go visit set, but I don't get to be on set because my work by the time we've put the cast together and they're all in there and their contracts are all done and all of that, which all has to happen before they report to set, then my work is done. So often I will try to on my own go and visit set if I can make it work. So I was able to visit the set of that, but I loved A Week Away. I have a musical background. I sang all through high school, college, and did some semi-professional singing in my 20s, and then continued to sing on worship band for years and years and years until just very recently. And so music and storytelling, dance, performance, all of that, I just love. Plus, I actually really have a heart for that age group, for teen. I became a Christian at camp. So going into my 7th grade year, my sister had started going to church. My sister is 6 years older than me, so she was going to the high school group. The junior high group met at the same time. And so it was the summer going into my 7th grade year. So you graduate into whatever your grade's going to be, and that's where the group that you join. So I joined the junior high group just for something to do while she was at the high school choir practice, and ended up going to camp with that group. And that's where I accepted the Lord and was baptized. And that was when I was 12, and it obviously changed my life and put my life on a trajectory, and just, yeah, was powerful. So I have a real heart for that environment, for camp, especially for that age group, because it literally saved my life at that time. And so anytime I can be a part of something that will help open the eyes and reach people, I'm thrilled to be a part of it. And then you add in great music and dancing and wonderful producers to work with. It's icing on the cake. So, okay, let's see. Markea, I'm always looking for new talent, in that I'm always, when I have a project, I'm putting it out on the breakdown. And so, whatever that project needs, I always have my eyes open to new people and seeing new people, and someone catching my eye, in maybe these monologue challenges, or I see someone on social media, or a stage piece I may go to. So I'm always looking, and kind of my eyes are open for new talent. As far as something to actually, an action point to actually do something with them, it really isn't until I have a role that they could potentially be a fit for, that I actually could then follow up with, like, hey, I'd like you to audition for this, or submit yourself for this. So my eyes are always open, and I'm keeping this sort of Rolodex in my brain of people I've seen and people that are interesting and I think talented. But it's not until I have a role that I have a practical application as far as taking those next steps. Let's see. Tony, you didn't word it wrong. Sorry. And forgive me if I came across like I was somehow being contrary. I just was sort of, you're asking something about an agent who's a Christian that quite honestly, I get asked a lot. And so it's something I've thought about quite a bit. So I totally hear the heart of what you mean behind what you were asking. So no worries. There's no wording it wrong. It's just a matter of like I said, just the heart of what you are seeking. And I totally get that. Totally get that. Yeah. So Tony, similar to what I was just saying to Markeia, I don't have a database of actors that I just blast out when I have a breakdown, because every breakdown has specific roles, and there's no point in me reaching out unless you're right for some of the roles. So I release my breakdowns through Breakdown Services and Actors Access. Breakdown Services always, and that's the agent manager component of or Breakdown Express, sorry, is the agent manager component of Breakdown Services. And then also Actors Access, which is the direct to actors where you can submit yourself. So I typically, I use Breakdown Express pretty much all the time, Actors Access most of the time, where they would go out to both. And then other platforms like Faith-Based Casting, or maybe some other platforms that are also alternative casting platforms. So it's a matter of you being on those platforms and on those services to be able to see the breakdowns when they go out, and then submit yourself and respond. Rather than, now I know like local casting directors and regional casting directors do keep databases, but often what they're looking for is a more generalized response. And oftentimes local casting directors are also doing extras for projects. So they can just blast out an email and say, hey, this is what we need. And there's lots of categories. But in the work that I'm doing, it's not really helpful and focused to just send a big email out to an email database. So I don't really work that way. Now, having said that, like I was mentioning, there are actors I come across who I see and I think of and I remember, and they're in the back of my brain. And if something comes across and I see a role and I think, oh, okay, I remember seeing so-and-so, they could be great for this role. And then there have been times where I will seek that person out and say, hey, I have this thing, why don't you submit? Or they'll just naturally submit on their own because they're already kind of doing that process. So, there is a remembrance of people I see that down the road, when a role comes up, I will remember them and take a step to reach out to them. So, okay. Hi, Rebecca. Yeah, Abilene series is on Actors Access right now, and we're down to most of the local hire roles. So those of you who are able to work local in the Webster, New York, which is about a half hour outside of Rochester, about a little over an hour outside of Buffalo, New York. If that's your world, then look on Actors Access and see if there's a role that makes sense for you. Series is called Abilene, and we just put out a breakdown last week that had I think 12-ish, maybe 12 or 15 roles that we still need for that series, but most of them are going to be local hire. So you just need to know that. Let's see. Let's see. Hope to audition. Yeah. Yeah. See, it's really, you guys just need to, it- the the more at bats you get, eventually you're going to hit the home run. Eventually you're going to get the single or the double or the triple. But if you don't get up to bat, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't try to find those places that can potentially have opportunities for you to get at bat, then nothing will ever happen. So, yeah, you just want to be doing as much as you can to find those opportunities to put yourself out there. And I'll bring up Ben again. What he's doing with his social media is really interesting, because when it comes up in my feed, they're thought provoking, and they're interesting in and of themselves, but from an acting standpoint, it's also a very interesting way for me to get to know him and see him as an actor. So there's a lot of ways you guys can be doing that with resources and tools you already have. So let's see, Katie, do you ever take time to look at an actor's website if they have one, or do you solely look at their materials? I look at all of it depending on how far in the process they go. I don't have time to look at everyone's website. So the Actors Access materials or the Breakdown Express profile from their agents is going to be the first point. I don't have time to then look at everyone's website and look it up and put it in the browser and all of that. But when we get down to narrowing things down and we're starting to try to separate people out and kind of really get down to the core people that we like or that have potential, or we want to go to callbacks, then I start looking at websites and things. It's not to say I never look at a website, but it's not an automatic. But sometimes people will post in their social media and I'll see, and I'll click on a website. Just really depends. But in the submission process, you just have to remember I'm getting thousands of submissions for every role. So I just spent today going through 3,600 submissions for one role, and I have another 12 roles to go through. So there's just no way I can click on 3,200 websites. I just don't have time. So that your core package needs to be as sharp as possible. And I would not rely on putting things on your website and saying, hey, check out my website. That's actually kind of annoying to me when I see that, where like the note is, hey, check out my reel at this website. It's like, it's an extra step, and it sounds so like menial and so nitpicky, but honestly, take 3,600 times 10 roles. It's a lot of people I have to go through and I have to look at, and I cannot do a separate step to look at your reel. So chances are I'm going to not look at your reel. So have it on your profile, have it there, have it available. Don't say, check out my reel and then put the link, because it's actually not a clickable link. Just so you know that when we get submissions, if you put in the notes the URL address to your website, I can't just click on it. I have to highlight it, copy it, open my browser, paste it, and then go. It's not just clickable. And so I'm not going to do it. I have a lot of people, and yeah, and more times than not, I'm not going to do it. There are exceptions. There's some times that I will, but more times than not, I'm not going to. So have it all right there, easily accessible. And your website can still give more content or can expand upon what you have on your profile, but your best, most important core material needs to be on those profiles, not only on your website. Let the website be the thing where you have an expanded bio, or you have more headshots, or you have some scenes that you don't have, like if you did a movie and in your reel, you only have one scene from that movie, but you have really 5 or 6 scenes, put that on your website. That's fine. But don't expect that we're going to go to your website to see that material. So, yes, Rod, I'm trying to walk. I'm trying to be really good about that. So, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Katie, it is important, meaning it is helpful, but it isn't your front line presentation. It isn't the first thing. So it is a great supplemental piece to your overall presence and materials, but it isn't the core thing. So okay, I've been talking for way too long, 1 hour and 12 minutes. I never go that long. But that's because you guys are awesome and you ask great questions, and mostly because I just keep talking. So I'm going to stop talking, and I appreciate you a lot. If there are some questions I haven't gotten to, remember them for next week and ask them again next week, and we can do it all over again. In the meantime, have a great week, and I will think of all of your encouragement and your words and the things that you were sharing with me. And I appreciate you being willing to share those things. And thank you for your encouragement as I go on this kind of new stretching journey as well. So, yeah, love you guys. Have a great week. Do some walking. I'm certainly going to try to do some walking, and I will see you next Tuesday. All right. Love you. Bye.